Good morning again. So everybody's aware that the county executive officer, Minh Tran, asked Mr. Carey to investigate the vaccine with Belia Ramos. And Mr. Carey did an in-house investigation. And evidently that wasn't good enough, so you went ahead and spent tens of thousands of dollars chasing your political nemesis with an investigation. So one question I have is, do you have confidence in Mr. Carey's workability? Do you as a county find him to be a competent worker that you can trust to do a job like investigate when he did? Because it seems like on one hand, you like him, you pay him a lot of money to work for us, but then you don't trust him with doing some of the work. So what is your confidence level? I trust Mr. Carey. I think he's a nice guy. Personally, I don't question his behavior, but it seems like you would trust him. And I think maybe, since you spent $30,000 on a witch hunt on Belia, maybe we should apply the same investigation on the CEO over there, Mr. Minh Tran. Belia Ramos, she's filed with the bar. Let's look at that harder. Let's get some investigators, because it's obvious that a political organization has sexually harassed Supervisor Ramos. It's obvious that they said, if you don't sleep with somebody, we will spend $100,000 to get rid of you, or whatever it takes. And you can see by the mailers the Farm Bureau's done. You can see by right now the robocalls. You can see if you're in the know, if you get to see the screenshots. You know, Supervisor Pedroza and his colleagues talk about it with Klobas. You know, if you're in the know, you know. So why not investigate it? Why not look at Windsor, Dominic Fopoldi, the mayor over there? Look at what's going on. Let's look in Nurse County. Let's do some real investigating about what's really going on here, because it's crazy that you would normalize that behavior during the last campaign and attack her. Now that didn't work. She won. So what do? You got a witch hunt about a frickin' vaccine. You can't give vaccines away right now. So you guys are normalizing some behavior that is so wrong. And you know, sexual harassment is not new. And until people start standing up to it, it's never going to end. Quit normalizing these predators and spend some money on an investigation and show the people in Napa there ain't nothing wrong then. If you ain't got nothing to hide, Alfredo and Minh Tran, let's see these same people investigate you. Look at your personal cell phones and anything else. Maybe the FBI should investigate it. Who knows? But let's turn it around.
Thank you, Mr. Hinton.
You know, I was just going to comment that maybe it would be time to take a minute break, because one of the supervisors had left the dais unexpectedly, and that maybe it might seem like a good time to just stretch your legs until everybody could regather and come back.
Mr. Hinton, do you have anything to comment specifically on this item?
Yeah, I think it's important that we would have paused the meeting to make sure the collective body here, all five of you, but it's almost as if somebody isn't important up there, and that you can carry on without that person. It's really shows what's going on to the whole community. Not everybody can be here watching.
This item is.
You already had it. Give me a second, Mr. Counsel. You already had an opportunity to comment on public comment. We heard you. We have a specific item. If you wish to address the board on the specific item, this is your time.
I just suggest throughout this meeting, if somebody abruptly leaves, you be as considerate as you were when you took Kelly Anderson's comments. You told Kelly, thank you. I'll understand that. I'll try to go slower. We appreciate when you say that. Now I'm saying, next time one of your colleagues gets up after some controversial comments and has to leave, maybe you should be
This is a public hearing on water and sewer availability charges for Napa Berryessa Resort Improvement District. There's a different forum for whatever comments you wish to make. So we need to
we need all five
focus on that public hearing.
It takes a community. We need all five of our electeds in here. So please just be courteous when someone leaves as to their feelings, and let's do the right
the sheriff.
Good morning, board, staff. Jim Hinton, 3574 Hunter Circle, Napa, California. I received an email from somebody that the county recognizes as an employee, Christine Briceno, or something like that, Briceno. And it says, "Good afternoon, and thank you for your communication and concern. The county does have a policy and process for maintaining a harassment and discrimination-free work environment. Please know these types of matters stay focused on the real parties in interest. Kind regards." And I've replied and haven't heard back since. So just to be clear, what I think would be an example of sexual harassment that should not go unnoticed is if, hypothetically speaking, a lobbyist from a hypothetical political action committee, we'll call them the bureaucrats for fair farming in the Napa Valley, and they were to come here and to lobby with youth supervisors. And I want to remind you all, you are elected, you are the Napa County Board of Supervisors, not prostitutes, not whores, or anything like that. And that is important to remember, because you are not responsible for pleasing anybody other than the voters and doing work here at the dais. No matter how much public pressure there may be, it is still not right. Let's say they had a lobbyist, we'll call him or her, we'll call her Renee Klobas. Let's say Renee Klobas were to approach you and demand a relationship, like a boyfriend-girlfriend, or it is Pride Month, a girlfriend-girlfriend relationship that is, outside your duties as a supervisor to fix our streets, take care of our jail, and, keep the money and the boots on the ground and the employees working. That's your job. So when this happens and they threaten one of you and say that it would be bad for your political career, and they would actually leverage a $100,000 campaign to remove you from office if you refuse this type of relationship, I think that is an example of sexual harassment, hypothetically speaking, of course. And I think that if you don't see it, then you need to get your pineal gland cleansed, start listening to more people in the community, and get involved, because it's happening, and it's wrong to keep recognizing these predators as reputable, trustworthy lobbyists, because if it happens there, imagine the sponsors of this.
Thank
Is
you,
it
Mr.
happening
Hinton.
at their wineries? Are their secretaries
Thank
being
you.
subjected to this?
Thank you, Mr. Hinton.
But would like to know more about what you're planning on spending $70,000 on with the same. Am I right that Myers, Nave, Rideback, Silver, and Wilson is the same people that just went over the vaccine witch hunt?
Okay, so is that your question, Mr. Hinton?
Well, will I be able to speak after you answer that question, or do you want me to do my whole 3 minutes and then later on you'll tell me? Do you want me to make all my assumptions now?
This would be your time, Mr. Hinton,
Okay,
to ask
well,
your
it
questions,
seems
and
to
then we'll
me
provide a staff
it
report.
seems to me I'm a little nervous about us spending $70,000 right now when the money's tight, when the golden goose, the TOT, is sick, so we don't have those kind of eggs to lay right now. $70,000. We just wasted $30,000 because we didn't trust Mr. Whitney's initial assessment of the vaccine. And so I don't know, is this to open it up from $3,270 or to throw another $70,000 at it? Now, is this to investigate the behavior of the CEO? Because I think it would be important to look at why the office has a high turnover rate. I think it would be great to do an exit interview on many of the employees who have recently left the CEO's office to figure out why people are leaving. People on Facebook accuse the office of being toxic, a toxic environment to work in.
Mr. Hinton, if you can stay on topic of
Well,
item
last
7F.
week I suggested that we investigate the CEO, Minh Tran. So if this is a $70,000 investment to investigate his behavior, I want these people who are going to go after him to do an exit interview with all the employees who have left his office to figure out why they say it is a toxic environment. If we're using $70,000 to look at the CEO's behavior and figure out why there's a turnover rate, why there's a witch hunt, why the Farm Bureau is running the show, and sexual harassment is something they think they're capable of using to their political advantage, we should investigate that. I would say as a taxpayer, let's throw $70,000 into that. But if this is to extend the witch hunt because we haven't found enough evidence after $30,000 and after Whitney said it was nothing done, then I think the Farm Bureau should pay for the $70,000 and not us, the taxpayers. Let's have Satui and Wagner and Klobas pay the bill. So I made a little presentation yesterday about a hypothetical situation. And to talk about that just a brief more minute, hypothetically speaking, if one of the supervisors that were requested a relationship by the lobbyist, if they were to engage in a relationship and they were to leave their spouse, their boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever for this relationship, and their election
Chair.
came up, what's
This
wrong?
this is for items that are within the board's jurisdiction as the county, not for hypothetical
You know, I'd like to
situations.
reclaim my time. I don't know why he's interrupting me during my chance to express myself. So could you please restart the
Mr.
clock?
Hinton, this is relating to the Board of Supervisors and something we have authority. If you want to speak to that, you will have your time.
Yes, you
Okay.
have the authority. So
Continue.
I'd like to start over, please.
Give him the 30 seconds. Go ahead.
How much time is left?
You have a minute. You have 2 minutes, Mr. Hinton.
Thank
It's been
you.
restored.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, when the person's election comes up, do you think the person would oppose their new partner in the relationship in an aggressive campaign with 4 to 7 mailers? So I went to the John Tudor's office, and I looked at the Farm Bureau Political Action Committee. They only had 2 people donate more than $2,000 in the last year, and that was Satui and that was Camus. They donated $25,000 each. And they spent $2,000 consulting to oppose Supervisor Ramos. They spent $14,000 in literature to oppose Supervisor Ramos. They spent almost $3,000 in digital advertising to oppose Supervisor Ramos. And I think that the sponsors, Satui and I think Wagner, I think they owe us all an apology for sponsoring sexual harassment at this level. I think it's wrong. I think it's completely wrong for anybody up there to support the Farm Bureau agenda and their candidates. I think it's wrong if you normalize this behavior. I think it's wrong if you don't speak out against this behavior, because if it's happening here, does that mean the next person that takes Brad's and Diane's Dylan needs to have an open-minded relationship about changing their relationship status and serving a lobbyist? I don't think so. I think it would only make the problem worse if we normalize it and we allow these people who have all the money and all the influence to continually harass people. Because if it's happening here, it's probably happening more than one time, because he's probably still looking for a girlfriend. So I think it's important that we denounce their behavior and try
Mr.
to
Hinton,
have a
please be
better, healthier
respectful.
community.
Do you have anyone else in the board chambers that wishes to address the board?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Jason Kishinev from American Canyon. I also came down here to support my supervisor. I've been following the drama around the mysterious COVID vaccine, and it seemed a little odd, but it seemed the drive to punish her for it was even more odd. Then there was the investigation, the information that it was actually a second investigation, and Ms. Ramos' actions taken against Mr. Tran. But it wasn't until my friend Mr. Hinton's comment last week that I connected all this drama with what I've heard before about the head of the Farm Bureau, Ryan Klobas, sexual harassment of my supervisor during the last election, and then watched as the Farm Bureau flipped from endorsing and supporting her to trying to get rid of her.
Counsel, can you comment?
Yeah,
Excuse me.
We're going to
me.
stop. We're going to stop the time. Give us a second, Counsel.
I think the public comment session is intended for areas that are within the Board of Supervisors' jurisdiction, which some of these issues are not, and they're intended for sort of non-defamatory statements. There is no Brown Act protection for defamatory statements, so I just want to make that clear to everyone speaking from the public. So I would try to focus your comments on things that are within the board's jurisdiction as the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you, counsel. And we did stop your clock. I want to make sure that
I
counsel
appreciate
commented on
that. It's my interpretation that this is supposed to be my 3 moments of free speech. If the investigation into Ms. Ramos' vaccine was an idea pushed by the Farm Bureau as a way to destroy her political career for not sleeping with Brian Klobas, if Mr. Tran was working for the
No.
Farm Bureau instead of the voters of this county, and if any one of you were participating in sexually harassing a supervisor, the sitting supervisor, then I think that the people, the voters of the county, deserve to know. I think that's an ugly truth,
Mr.
and
Kishore, I'm not going to tolerate
we would all wanna know-
any more of those remarks.
you don't have to comment. I demand a full
I'm not gonna
investigation into the doings of the Farm Bureau, into their political practices in general, and into the last couple of elections. There are thousands of women in each of your districts, and I think that they'd want to know if any of you were in on this or egging this on in any way. And I call on every single one of them to speak up. Write a letter to the supervisor, write a letter to the editor of the Napa Register, or come in here if you're here right now, make a public comment, and just demand an investigation. It's that simple. Thank you.